Alright guys, so everyone should have out their complete sentences packet that I gave you during class today. Okay, and you should have something to write with. For this first slide, you're going to need to fill in some notes. So make sure you're paying attention to the blanks. The bold words will be the ones that go in the blanks. Alright, so let's start with what a complete sentence is. These are the basics. So a complete sentence, first of all, must have a subject. Okay, it must have a verb. It must begin with a capital letter, which hopefully we all know, though I still see some of y'all not doing that. And it must end with a period, exclamation point, or question mark. Those are what we call end punctuation because they end a sentence. So go ahead and make sure you've got all 4 of those blanks filled in. Alright, now let's talk about what a complete sentence does not do. It should not begin with a word such as and or but. This is one I see y'all doing a lot. If you are a wonderful writer or poet and you're writing a short story or a poem and you're getting a little loose with some of your sentences and you want to start with and or but, that's fine. But if you're writing sentences or essays for school, you should pretty much never begin a sentence with either of these words. Alright, so let's look at a few examples of complete sentences. So our first one is Jamie jumped up and down. I have a subject, Jamie, someone who's performing the action. I have her action, the verb jumped. And as always, I have my capital J, and I have an exclamation point at the end. So I have my capital letter and my end punctuation. Alright, same thing with our second sentence. Marissa ran down the street. Got my subject, Marissa. Okay, we have a noun that's doing something. We've got our verb ran, and I have my capital letter and end punctuation. All right, the flower bent under the weight of the rain. Okay, I have my subject flower, what it's doing, bent, and I have my capital T and my end punctuation. All right, last one, why didn't you do your homework? I have my subject you, I have my verb didn't do, and I capitalize my W, and I have a question mark at the end. So each of these would fit our requirements of a complete sentence. None of them begin with and or but. They all have a subject, verb, capital letter, and punctuation. Alright, so even if you have your capital letter, your end punctuation, your subject and verb, that does not mean it's automatically a complete sentence. Okay? There's one more requirement. A complete sentence should also express a complete thought. Go ahead and fill in that blank for me. Alright, now, what I mean by complete thought is that you shouldn't leave me on a cliffhanger at the end of your sentence, okay? If I say something like, because I went to the store, and then I just put a period there. I have no idea why you went to the store, okay? Or what happened because you went to the store. So you have to finish that thought. You can't leave me hanging there. Okay. Now our next one is when I walk down the street. Same thing. I don't know what's going on. What happened when you walked down the street? Okay. Until we met. I don't know. I don't know what happened until we met. Okay. So you have to finish that thought. And those words, which I'll give you a list of in a couple slides, because, when, until, those are my danger words, right? They're cliffhanger words. They mean that you're in danger of not having a complete sentence. Alright, now, just because you start with one of those words, because, when, until, that does not automatically mean it's incomplete. Okay, you can make them complete, you just have to finish that thought. So I could say, because I went to the store, we had enough food for all our guests. So now I know what happened because you went to the store. When I walked down the street, I ran into a good friend. Same thing, no cliffhanger anymore. I know what happened when you walked down the street. Until we met, I had never tried that kind of food. Alright, good, so we have a complete thought there. I know what happened until we met. Now notice that in each of these situations where I began with one of these cliffhanger words, okay, I had to basically add a complete sentence at the end of the sentence. So I said, we had enough food for all our guests. I ran into a good friend. I had never tried that kind of food. So in each of those, I basically had to add another subject and verb to complete my thought. Alright, so here's a list of some of those words, those cliffhanger words, that where if you use them at the beginning of the sentence, you need to be very careful that you finish that thought. Right? After, although, as, because, before, if, once, since, though, unless, until, when, whenever, whereas, wherever, whether, and while. Any of those words, okay, if you start your sentence with those, that means that you're in danger of leaving me on a cliffhanger. You've got to finish the thought whenever you use one of these words. So you have to be very careful when you use them, because I see a lot of y'all doing this, where you'll say, you know, because I didn't do my homework, and you just stop. Okay, so you have to make sure you finish that thought within the same sentence. All right, so we're going to do a little practice here. And basically what's going to happen is we're going to look at some sentences, and we're going to try to decide what we need to do to make them complete. Okay, so let's look at my first one. The roof was leaking. All right, so you want to kind of go through your checklist. Does it have a subject? Does it have a verb? Does it begin with a capital letter? Does it end in, a period, exclamation point, or question mark? And does it express a complete thought? So looking at the roof was leaking, I see a subject, roof. I have a verb, verb phrase, was leaking. I got a period on the end, but I don't have my capital letter. So what I need to do is I need to make that T capitalized. So make sure whenever I mark it on the slide, you are fixing it on your paper as well. All right, let's look at our next one. I fell down the stairs. And I got a capital I at the beginning, which is also my subject. I got my verb fell, but I don't have any end punctuation. So I'm going to add a period at the end. If you want to make it a really exciting fall, you can do an exclamation point. All right, now let's look at our next one. It's a little trickier. Enjoy seeing all the animals there. Now I got a capital E at the beginning. I got a period at the end. I didn't start with any of my cliffhanger words, but there's definitely something not right. So looking at it a little closer, I see some verbs. I see enjoy seeing. Now I always look for my subjects before my verbs, but I don't have any nouns or pronouns before enjoy. It just starts. So I obviously need to add something there. So I'm going to cross out my uppercase E and change it to a lowercase e because it's not going to be the start of my sentence anymore. And then I'm going to add in a subject. So I'm going to add an I. And now it's I enjoy seeing all the animals there. So we got a complete sentence. All right, let's look at our next one. Runners and events at the Olympics. All right, I got a capital R. I got my end punctuation. But if I look at it, runners and events at the Olympics. I have a noun at the beginning, runners. I have a subject. But it doesn't say what they're doing. So what I need to do here is I need to add something to my sentence. I need to add a verb. I need to add an action. So I'm going to cross out that period because I'm not ending my sentence there. And I'm going to add break mini records. Just an action for them to do. And I'm going to make sure I put a period at the end there since I crossed out my other period. All right, now, let's look at my next one. When people visit from out of town, and I got my period. Now, you saw me kind of pause there because I was like looking for something else. I was left on a cliffhanger there. Okay, I don't know what happens when people visit from out of town. No one told me. Okay, so let's check our other ones. I got a capital W at the beginning. I got a period. I got a subject people. I got a verb visit. But I'm still stuck on that cliffhanger. I didn't finish my thought. So I'm going to change that period to a comma so I can add some more. And I'm going to add what happens when they visit from out of town. So I say they stay at a hotel, and then make sure I have a period on the end. All right, so now when people visit from out of town, they stay at a hotel. So now I know what they do. I've basically added a whole other sentence on the end. All right, so now I've got a complete thought. Listen to my next one. A visit to the dentist makes me nervous. So I got a capital A. I got a period at the end. I got a subject visit. And I have a verb makes. I didn't start with any of my cliffhanger words, so I don't have to worry about a complete thought. So this one is a complete sentence. We don't need to do anything to it. All right, so now you're going to work on a little practice on your own, which we'll be checking tomorrow, so we can see how well you understand what the complete sentences are, okay? Now, for your first part of independent practice, it says write S before each group of words that is a complete or correct complete sentence. So if it's a sentence, You don't need to do anything to it. Just put an S on the line, move on to the next one. Now, if the sentence is incorrect, write a correct version in the space provided. Okay? So if there's something wrong with the sentence, you need to rewrite it in that nice big space I gave you as a correct, complete sentence. So that means capital letters, punctuation, subject, verb, complete thought. Okay? Now, you don't have to put anything in that blank for that one, right? Only if it's a complete sentence do you put that S and then move on to the next one. All right, now if you go to the next page, there's one more thing at the end. We've got that 1 through 5. Each of these starts with one of those cliffhanger words. I got when, if, because, after, while. So that means we need to add something to them. So you need to read each of those statements, and you need to add words to those sentences to make it a complete thought. If you have any questions, we'll be going over this tomorrow, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have, and we can talk about anything that was confusing.